the intro music. Yeah! Woohoo!
Good morning, Star Trek Fleet Man fans. Welcome to the Patch Notes video where, look, we're going to go over a lot of things as we typically do. I'll give you my thoughts, opinions, etc. But more importantly, giving you the information you're going to need for January 2025 in our first, well, Patch Notes video. Here's the example of the faction. As you may be aware, this faction will be available for level players 42 and above. However, that doesn't mean there aren't things that are available for lower levels, but as content continues to grow, it is getting for the mid-level players. So 42 is not really high level. However, if you're on an Ascend lock server, saying it caps at 39, this means that you're not going to access this part. However, things for you to look forward to anyway. All right, let's go ahead and jump over to the notes themselves now that we're seeing where the faction actually is. So popping on over, here we have all this stuff. Well, let's start with it, right? Part 1 to the Year of Hell. Promise you it's not a 12-part series. It's just not that long. But all right, Voyager's been trapped, its crew caught in a never-ending loop of destruction under the iron fist of the Krenim Empire. All in the name of Anarax's revenge. Now, again, I did talk about in yesterday's video. If you have not checked this out, that is Voyager Season 4. Go check out the Year of Hell. I thought that the storyline itself was quite good. I personally don't like how it turned out. I think it should have been a season-long thing, but if you want a lot of that information for this arc, that's where you want to go find it in actual Star Trek canon, and, well, I would encourage you to do so. So, let's move on to what you're going to be seeing here in Update 71. That is going to be celebrating 30 years of Star Trek Voyager by revisiting one of its most iconic and controversial storylines. You got new missions, the DTI building, which we talked about in yesterday's video, as well as the faction, the Krenim invading entities, the Specialist 7 Icheb and Infiltrator Tuvok. Those are your officers this month. New Chaos Tech and new artifacts. I am actually looking forward to the artifacts themselves. New Battle Pass and cosmetics, territory capture, Season 6, and more. All right, a Voyager legacy. So 1 year after USS Voyager's triumphant return to Earth, Janeway has settled in Starfleet Command, blah, 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 blah. However, 7 of 9 cannot find peace, and she lives in the neutral zone, protecting the vulnerable until fate draws her into a new battle against the Krenim Imperium. Those that don't know, you actually see more of 7 of 9 in Star Trek with Star Trek Picard. She's also kind of in the neutral zone, so kind of living in that post-Voyager life. So new missions, you're going to start with the core missions again, being level 42 and above, focusing on the new faction. FYI, there are also 3 side missions. The Academy of Paris helped rescue Tom Paris and Starfleet cadets from Orion slavers. Though lighter in tone, these missions still pack a punch, offering a welcome change of pace before the intensity of battle resumes. So, new invading entities, the Krenim. Now, let me go ahead and complain a little bit. Right here, Scopely Graphics Department, top right of your screen. Why in the absolute heck is this ship shooting phasers out of its Boussard collectors? All right, we're done with that. So the prime timeline is under threat from the Krenim Imperium. So here's what you're going to do. Collect the DTI exocomps and directives from the faction store. Head to Krenim space and take on the powerful invading entities and their two best ships. So solo ships, solo armadas, this time with 2. So Revenant, 1, this time 2. Got to make it confusing. Change it up everywhere. Exchange the Krenim loot for DTI credits in the faction store. Then you're going to come down to the bottom right of your screen. Check out the new faction store to claim free directives, exocomps, and view the exclusive rewards that come from bringing the Krenim threat, such as Chaos Tech, Artifact, and new officers. And I will say, you're 42 and above, lots of good officer sourcing. You're seeing Dejash Torah, you're seeing Quinn DeMarco, you're seeing Jason Nesmith, plus a slew of artifacts. And that is going to be where I find the bread, butter, the value in this faction. And then last but not least, level up the new building to gain access to Matter Converter Refinery alongside powerful new buffs. The refinery, I've already said, I love the idea, hate the tax, and I will be screaming loudly all month long that the tax is terrible, just like the VIPs did over the Sigma tax that existed for par steel, titanium, and lithium. I think free-to-play and everybody should come up in arms and do the exact same thing. The tax is not acceptable. You should not be charging people to get more of a, say, epic currency by spending their currently epics. If you haven't seen what that new tax looks like, well, I'll show you right here. So at box 1, it's the exact same, right? 9 to get 9. However, if you go up in cost, you pay a tax. I think that's terrible. I think that should be pitchforks and torched about. Y'all tell me if I'm wrong in the comment section down below. I'm not trying to ruffle feathers. I'm just being honest. I think this is a fantastic idea. I give them credit for a fantastic idea. The tax, however, I am vehemently opposed to, and I hope the rest of the community rallies behind my cry on that one. All right, Krenim ship types. You have the static Krenim ships locked partially outside of the time stream. These enemies increase their isolated damage cumulatively every round. So countermeasure is a specific exocomp, though you will be able to take them out without that if you need. However, exocomp will indeed help. Now, the charged Krenim ships equipped with experimental quantum warp drives develop an apex barrier that grows stronger every round. Want to take those down really, really quickly. So come in with your hard hitting stuff. Now, here's the mechanics and how they work as a whole. There are 17 new systems across the map. I'll actually show you where those are. I've always found it handy for players to know where they actually need to go, if you know what I mean. So we'll come over back to our main game screen. We're going to move on up, and they are in the Dairy Queen space. That deep space way up here, you're going to find a whole slew of new systems that you have not spotted before, and that's where you're going to want to start heading to. In fact, I'll go ahead and send a Revenant there so we can see as we go ahead and start peering through the veil and looking at other things. I'll actually send ships all over the place. By the time they get there, guess what? You, me, and Bud Dupree, we're all going to be hanging out and reading various different things. All right, so back over. Let's talk about what is here. So up to 2 ships can be brought to these battles. No health regeneration for the Krenim ships, and you win static wreckage, charged wreckage, and encrypted intelligence from both. Then you get the type of wreckage based on which one you're fighting. So we did go over the new DTI itself. We've kind of covered it quite a bit, so I don't want to spend too much time going through that. Y'all know how it basically works. Now, really quick, there are favors for this, which is basically its own faction tree. You've got increasing base damage when fighting enemies, increasing base damage versus enemies with a charge. So that's just the 2 different Krenim hostiles in that first 2 rungs. Then you have boosting static and charge wreckage. I think this is going to be very valuable and immediately sought after by most players. Produces negative Federation Klingon Romulan rep gain from enemies. Long term, I think this is good. Right now, I don't think it's that big of a deal, especially with mirror grinding being so prevalent for rep grinding in today's game. Increases FKR gain. I think this one, however, will be sought after, especially because of the mirror tri-faction grind. Then you have the enhanced FKR credits from FKR messages. That I think is going to be very good for people, especially players in G4 and G5. Then you have the PvE Apex Barrier Edition. I do think it's nice, but not necessarily that needed. Improved cost efficiency for the favors. That, of course, is going to be quite nice for your FKR upgrades. And last but certainly not least, unlocks additional FKR reputation via the encrypted intelligence. And I do think people will like that as a passive way to do their rep grinding. So that'll be cool. All right, there's the building itself. And I did go over with y'all a little bit yesterday what is actually included in the building upgrades. I talked about what it maxes out at, and that's what we do here. So giving more Apex Barrier, Isolated Defense, Isolated Damage, Officer Stats, Broken Ship Parts, and Damage versus the Krenim. You will be wanting to upgrade this building as quickly as possible. Do not sit there and ignore it. But, yeah. Here we go. Level 42, though. Keep note. So, scrolling on down, the Material Converter, game-changing feature. Again, I will be vehemently fighting against the tax, but I do love the feature existing. Both things can be true. They are not independent of each other. Then we have these new officers, which are the battleship version of the queues that we've been using and looking at, right? So if you've been paying attention to the past couple of months, you've seen those queue hostiles and, you know, Rami, etc., Soren, and they've been essentially an explorer, interceptor, and battleship team. Personally, looking at these, I feel the same way about this set that I did about the previous. I love the rare below deck abilities. Take, for example, Icheb here. On round start versus players, if your ship has no applied states, increases your isolated cascade. Now, the tricky thing is here, no applied states. It's tricky. That means somebody cannot hull breach you. If they do, it negates this. That could be tricky. If somebody assimilates you, somebody burns you. Tricky. But up at the top, Captain's Maneuver from 7, round start versus battleships with hull breach increases your shots by a set percentage. More shots is mo better. And then officer ability on round start against players, percentage chance to apply hull breach. Now again, that's to your targets, that's fine. But for the below deckers, they are something to keep in mind. Increases your apex barrier for 4 rounds when you score a hit. Then you have the Infiltrator Tuvok, same thing if your ship has no applied state. So these get really tricky as below deck officers. I do think that's valuable, but it's super, super niche. This actually might be a crew where we really only say you kind of need to keep everybody up on top, take full advantage. Now, one note, keep an eye out for a separate blog revealing how to unlock one of these rare officers for free this month, along with additional crewing and battle tactics. So we will go over this more as the month persists. New territory season starting the 21st of January. That is 2 weeks from today. So just letting y'all know, particle resets or particle shuffling is happening. NX-01 getting added in, which I think is good. And Voyager Blueprint service going to the tier 2 zones. I do think that is good. Here are your new artifacts and chaos tech. A Krenim time weapon, which is increasing crit damage against armadas and entities. It's okay. But Pocket Watch for Janeway, I actually really like and want. Reducing opponents' isolytic damage up to 40%. I really, really want that one. Chaos Tech, though, you have the Chronophage on round start versus players. If your ship is dropped below 40% health, increasing your shots, repairing your shields, and decreasing isolytic mitigation. Pretty neato. All right, finally, Temporal Overdrive Matrix increases your barrier, critical damage, and ship repair for 3 rounds against hostiles, armadas, invading entities. So I'm really looking forward to this as a chaos tech that I could have in PvP, but this is a solid one. Then we have our Battle Pass cosmetics and fixes. So there you have it. Real quick here, before we wrap up this video, I will show you some of those systems that you can look at in game so you can see these hostiles. Here's the charged set of Krenim ships right here. You can see the loot that they drop, this encrypted intelligence, of course, being used to go after all the juicy juices. And you will need to collect your mats or your directives every day from the faction itself. So again, level 42 and above. And we will, of course, have videos on this. And we're already working on a chart to input the data of what all the rewards are so that you can make the most efficient path possible. To get that information, you're going to need to hit me up in the Discord, but we will share it in the live streams. Hopefully this video gave you some of the answers that you're looking for. Live long and plunder. Stay safe with those Space Cowboys. Deuces, that's me. Catch you on the next one. And as always, happy to see you. Love you. Appreciate you. And we'll catch you on the next one. Don't forget, Battle Pass giveaway today on Twitch.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.